Hello and a warm welcome to our LinkedIn live segment. I'm your host, TD Quidini, and I'm joined by Lucinda White, award writer and managing director of the Pure Awards. And today we will be discussing how to write a winning award entry. Lucinda is the founder of Pure Awards, which is a business award writing and content creation agency based in Derbyshire. Lucinda and her team work with companies, entrepreneurs, and charitable organizations in the UK and have three core areas, which include award writing, content creation, and grant writing. Now, to one of the reasons we are here today, the Novi Leadership and Somerset Awards, formerly Forward Ladies, will be taking place on the 22nd of November 2024 in London. Nominations are currently open and will close on the 13th of September. And the short list will be announced on the 27th of September, and there'll be a live judging day on the 10th of October. Now, are you unsure of which category to enter? Do you find yourself leaving it to the last minute? Perhaps you are just not sure where to start or how to construct your award entry, or need a bit of help to get you on your way. If you've answered yes to any of the above, this webinar is definitely for you. And I am just going to go over to Lucinda. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's fantastic to have you.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
So I'm going to hand over to you to share some tips and information on what makes a good awards entry.
Fantastic. Okay. Right. Well, we will get started. So once again, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this today. I've been doing these webinars with you for the last few years, and it's always a great experience. And hopefully this information that you'll get today will be of use to you, will give you a little bit more confidence in approaching the business award entry for these, but also maybe for some other award entries that you're looking at for the future as well. So a little bit about myself. So my name's Lucinda. I'm here in the pictures, and that's my trusted content creator, Jenna, with me there as well. We basically do a whole host of services, which has been touched on before: award writing, content and grant writing, both for charities and for businesses as well. I am myself an award winner this year, which is great. I'm on the F Entrepreneur list, which was an absolute fantastic experience and is throughout the year. So certainly one of those female leadership awards, which is great to have, and certainly to be supported by going with the Novi Awards as well. Potentially I might enter myself, but I'm here to really make sure that you guys have got the information that you need to make sure that you're going to enter today. Okay, so the few things we're going to cover today are: why are awards good for business? We're going to look at the Novi Awards themselves. We're going to look at some top tips for preparing your entry. There will be a chance to ask some questions and things in the middle and also at the end. So if you do have any, I think there's a chat box there that you can put in some questions in there, and then those can be relayed to me as we go along. Okay, so where did it all begin? So awards, I would say, date back to ancient Greece. So when the Olympics, they were recognizing, rewarding, and celebrating all the hard work and the effort that those individuals were putting in to achieve the status and to achieve those medals that they were receiving, or the laurels at that point. It was only natural through as a human race that we start to implement the award kind of feeling and that celebration into other areas of our life. And, you can certainly see it in the film industry with the BAFTAs, the Oscars. You can see it with the Brit Awards in the music industry and all of those. You can also see it in the food and the drink industries as well, the hospitality. You'll see certainly at Christmas time, there'll be the award-winning gin or award-winning wines. M&S are a real killer for those ones. And actually I'm sure that your RAS, your reticular activation system, will now be much more aware of awards being announced in different brands and on adverts and everything. And you'll certainly be more in tune with the world of awards now you've been on this, I guarantee that. So it is natural that it's gone everywhere through all the different other sectors and industries and landed in business as well. So Business awards, been going probably about 30, 40 years in themselves. Started with the Stevie Awards many years ago and have evolved and developed into the huge industry that it is today. So why should you enter? So there's lots of great reasons why you should enter, and I'm sure you probably know half of these already, which is great. And the reason why you're on here today is because you're already half over the line in terms of, you can see the value of entering business awards. For you today, it's just to get over that line and get that confidence and that understanding of how you can put what you've got in your head, what you do for your business, and what you do that's so successful and so incredible, and how to get that out of here onto the paper to make it make sense for the judges. So the reasons why you enter: you want to enhance your reputation and your company profile. And I can guarantee that that absolutely does happen. Since I've been an award winner this year, it really has elevated our brand, company profile, certainly me individually as a person as well. If you've got team, it's going to motivate them hugely. It's going to make sure that they feel recognised for their efforts and what they've done as well. It gives everybody a chance to kind of come together and celebrate together as a business the achievements of the hard work that you've done over the last 12 months. But if you're looking for new talent, it gives you an opportunity and a platform on which to share and say, look, we're a really good company to work for. You really need to work with us, but we just want the best. So we're wanting to use that as a marketing strategy to get new business, to get new talent on board as well. Delivers that benchmark of excellence, gives you industry recognition, which is, again, really important. One thing I would say, though, is when you've won an award, you can't just sit back on your laurels, and you can't just think, oh yeah, I've won now, I don't really need to do anything else. I'm an award winner, I don't really need to try very hard anymore. Actually, you do, because what you do is your competitors will be looking at you and going, how's she got that? Or how's he got that? Okay, we need to do this. So we need to work a little bit harder so that we can get that award from them. So in order for you level of quality and excellence in what you've done to get the award, you need to be striving and pushing further and harder as you go forward. It gives you a brilliant opportunity to review and analyze everything that's going on in your business. And I think some of this is perhaps passed over by all the marketing stuff that goes, but the value actually of writing the business award, when you're going out to customers and to your clients and asking for testimonials and that evidence and that feedback that you'll need, it gives you a chance to really, celebrate internally and go, wow, actually, we're doing a really, really good job. Or perhaps you're looking at your figures and you're looking and seeing where, there was suddenly a big rise there. And what did we do here? We did this particular marketing strategy. What was the outcome of that? Hadn't really registered that. And actually, it sent the sales up by this. So we need to do more of that. So it really gives you a chance to delve deeper into what you've done in your business in order so you can make better decisions going forward for the future of the business. So business coaches are going to love me for this, but it really does help to really deep dive into your business to understand what you do well and what you can do better and well for the future as well. Obviously, there's going to be lots of PR opportunities with the social platforms that we've got available to us to promote and celebrate and recognise it, which is great. But don't discount some of the traditional forms of marketing as well. So go out to your local newspapers, do the publications, celebrate, make sure that all on your livery and on your business cards and everywhere has got award winning added onto that as well. And if you've won 2, you're multi-award winning. Positive actions are going to create more productivity and progress. Now, this is really particular if you're with a team as well. So, you're kind of celebrating this, that positivity, that's going to make them want to drive and do more and be more productive going forward. Therefore, that's going to have a positive impact on your business as well. And of course, it's going to have some financial return. We're in business to make money. And even if you're a charitable organization or a CIC, you still need to have some money. You need to make some money or attract donors. So, what we're doing by entering these awards is trying to drive value in your business and drive some financial return for you as well. So this is a little exercise. It's a bit of fun, but it is actually based on a qualitative and a British Quality Foundation study that was done, I think, about 2010, so quite a long time ago. So the figures may not be quite as relevant now because we've gone through a few economic tips and turns recently. However, this is possibly the one piece of big evidence around the awards industry that prove that awards are really worth investing your time and energy in. So there is a little gap here. Whether you want to put that into the chat box, I can't actually see the chat box, unfortunately, but what I will share with you, if you want to just jot these figures down for yourself, and then you can see if you're on target or not. So what we need to put in is 3 percentages for these key questions. So basically, what I want you to have a think about is, what do you believe the percentage growth in sales is for a small company who've won an award in the 12 months after winning that award? So 12 months in that time after they've won the award, what's their percentage growth in sales? So I want you to just think about a figure to put in there. And then I want you to think about a figure for a large company that's won an award 12 months after, what that might look like in terms of a percentage growth in sales as a result of winning the award. Of course, there's caveats in this. You know, they've got to have done some marketing about the fact that they've been an award-winning business, which you would presume. So it actually tracked 120 companies of award-winning businesses, similar companies, non-award-winning businesses, and that's how they did the tracking, and that's how they were able to benchmark each other. And then in the last year of monitoring, which is year 3, winning companies experienced even greater increases against the performance of comparison companies with sales growing by an average of something percentage. So I'm going to just let you have 10 seconds to just fill in some gaps there, and then I'll give you the answers. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very quick 10 seconds. Okay, the first one is 39%. So if you're a small business, and this is what I would want to really take away from this slide, is if you're a small business, what does 39% growth in sales mean to you and your turnover levels at this point in time? If you're doing 100,000, 39% on top of that is quite a significant amount. Even if you're doing 10,000, it's still a significant amount. That 39% has got to mean something for you. And that will be something that will drive you through those pain points of having to put this entry together, or other entries in the future that perhaps are 6,000 words or something like that. It will give you that drive and go, do you know what? This has some real financial value to me as a business, as well as all the other good stuff that you're going to get from being part of the process. So a large award-winning company have a 37% increase growth in sales as a result of winning a business award. And then the last figure is actually 77%. So you can screenshot that. It's a very filtered down version of the actual foundation study, but it's just there to take away. So if you've got any other people in your business who are perhaps thinking, well, I'm not quite sure if awards are really a thing for us, present them with that and give them what that actual figure is in terms of your business turnover as well, and then see if they might change their mind. This is another good one as well. So 80% of people who make buying decisions will choose an award-winning business over a non-award-winning business. And it's only natural. We like to be associated with success. We like to be, with the winning team. We like to be following them and be part of their network and part of their group. So it's only natural that as a business, we're going to make similar decisions based on who's the winner. And if you're presented with 2 companies of the same service, similar price, one's an award-winning business over the other one, naturally, you're going to go with the award-winning one because it's got that third-party endorsement from somebody else. This is an interesting one as well. It's going to grow your search and your reach with your audience. When the Lidl announced their award-winning Christmas gins, the searches for Lidl gin went up by 732%. So that's quite significant. So if you're wanting to drive traffic to your business, to your website, to your socials, the fact that you've got the award-winning announcement on there as well, that's going to make an impact. Okay, so now we're going to go into the Novi Awards themselves. And I can't believe they're in their 14th year. This is incredible. This is about the same time that I started writing business awards as well. So we've sort of evolved together, I suppose, which is really nice that we're still kind of working together. It's a fantastic platform. It is the most incredible set of awards, I think, out there for women in business and for men, but mainly for women. It really is about driving and supporting and engaging you as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as businesswomen, as leaders in your industries. And it's allowing you that time to celebrate, and support one another in driving your businesses forward and growing and doing well in what you do. So I think it's a fantastic platform for you to engage with. Even if you don't win on your first try, don't worry, because like I say, there's so many benefits for doing the process itself. It's a matter of fine tuning and going forward with it a little bit more next year, having another go, really understanding what's behind it. So, don't be disheartened if you don't win. That's one key thing, because getting to the finals is a win. You've beaten so many other entrants to get to that point. Obviously, winning is an incredible experience, and that's what we all strive for. But really, you can really max the hell out of it by being a finalist just as much as you can being a winner. So here's some key dates. I know we've heard these once already, but just as a quick reminder, 13th of September, so the entries close. The announcement of the finalists, 27th. 10th of October is your live judging day. You do have to be present and agree that you can be there. And then the event itself is the 22nd of November. And it looks to be an amazing event as well. But first things first. So what I need everybody to do is actually cross out the 13th of September. I want you to move the deadline. I want you to bring it forward by about a week, because that's going to ensure that you have enough time then, and any contingencies, working up to the last minute. The summer holidays are obviously coming up. If any of you've got kids and you're going to juggle all of that while working 300 hours a day, like we all have to do, it's always going to be pushed at the last minute. So if you try and bring it forward, then you've got that week of contingency where you've got it finished. You can reread it, you can proofread it, you can get somebody else to proofread it, and you can submit it without any issues online at thatlastminute.com. So people who know me will go, yeah, but you don't work all out like that very much, Lucinda. Do as I say, not as I do. My deadline structure at the moment is absolutely unreal. So I can't move the deadlines for me, but absolutely for this, there's enough time for you to be able to prepare, do it methodically and preparation, and make sure it's done absolutely on target. Some time management tools, should you need them. Planning, the 10-to-1 rule. So obviously for every hour that you put into your planning and preparation time, you're going to get tenfold back. This hour that you're spending here today is going to give you some time back later on when you start constructing those entries, not just for this, but for future years, but for other entries and actually other marketing content pieces as well. So you will get the time back by investing now. Avoidance behavior. So we've all been guilty, I'm quite sure, of going, I'm just going to make a coffee, send this email, go to the loo, and then I'm going to do the award entry. I'm just going to, if you find yourself saying, I'm just going to, that's avoidance behavior. So you have to try and stop that. And instead of going, I'm just going to do all the other things that I want to do so I can avoid doing that, go, I'm just going to write this award entry and then I'm going to reward myself with a coffee and, sending the emails or whatever it is at the end. The single handling technique is, again, another great way of being focused and making sure that you'll get into that flow of writing, really. You set yourself little goals. So whether it's to do your 500 words and then have a break and finish, or whether it's to do the full thing in a first draft and then walk away and come back to it. Whatever goals you set, if you apply the single handling technique, which is basically you switch your Wi-Fi off, you switch your phone off, you are entirely focused, you've got all the evidence that you need, you've got all the content that you need, and you just sit and write almost in a kind of locked room so you can't escape. But if you focus fully, you will, the maximum output that you'll get will be so much more than if you were to just do it in between doing your other jobs as well. So if you can apply that, you'll get it done quicker, you'll be more effective, you'll be more in flow, and you'll produce better work as a result of it. And of course, you could apply the Eat That Frog, which is Brian Tracy's. If anybody's not read it, then I would say and highly recommend reading it or listening to it on audiobooks. Basically, if your award entry, if the whole thing is giving you a bit of a headache and you're thinking, oh, it's just like a horrible, stinky frog, I don't want to do it, but it's there. But every time I don't do it, it's getting bigger and more disgusting and more horrible. Well, you know, sometimes you've just got to eat that frog, get it off your desk, then you can focus on all the other stuff that you've got to do in your day-to-day life. It does work. It works for all the horrible jobs that you don't want to do. So if an award writing session is a horrible job, put it on the Eat That Frog list. Eat that frog early for breakfast, and then you can move on and get doing all the stuff that you do enjoy doing. Because ultimately, we want you to get like this and be writing away and getting super done, lots of things done, and try not to be like these guys and miss the boat. So, okay. So one of the key things that people often ask me is I just don't know which category to enter. So there's some tips here that you can choose. If this is part of the struggle in terms of deciding what to go for, then, you know, I would say have a go at doing this as a sort of a task list, really, before you start entering anything, because actually this will give you the backbone of what your entry is going to be about as well. So ultimately, any award entry is a review of the last 12 months in your business. So what I need you to do is write down your top achievements and success stories in that time. Doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 5 or 6. Write about them as fully as possible. So think about who was involved, what happened, why did it happen, when did it happen, where if necessary, and how it came about, and what the results of that were. That's important. But it's just starting to map that out. Now, you can do this on a spreadsheet, you can do it on a board, whatever. But it's just about starting to document what that 12 months of success looked like. Prepare that timeline of events so that you've got that journey there to start describing to the judging panel when you put your entry together, and giving them that overview of what those successes have been, you know, what the pain points were, what the outcomes were, what the impact of it was. So also start writing down, what did that success enable you to achieve? Now, was it a financial growth? You know, was it your 39% after winning a previous award? Was it having been able to recruit new teams, invest in equipment, innovation, expand your locations, your footprint, so that you've got more space, you've gone into bigger offices? You know, what did that achievement enable you to do in the business? What was the outcome? And then I also want you to be really clear about what makes you different from your competitors, because you've really got to understand what your marketplace looks like, local, regionally, nationally, internationally, if needed. And also what your USP is, what makes you different, and why do people buy from you and not from others? And if you can get that in some kind of testimonial from a client who's been with another competitor and then come to you and had a much better experience, that's great. So absolutely get as many of those as you possibly can for different aspects or different services or different areas of the business. So in terms of the entrepreneur categories for the Novi Awards, so they're relatively straightforward. It's not like, you know, if you're a startup, you're a startup. You've got 5 years with this, which is incredible. Normally it's 3 years. So, you know, to think that in 5 years of trading, you could have done some really amazing things. But I think it's also reflective and understanding of what it's like to actually start a business. You may have started it in, you know, 4 years ago, not really done anything for a couple of years, but then had some traction. So it's allowing for that movement, or for that point of sort of slight delay at the beginning, potentially, but allowing for you to give that 5 years narrative of what your business has been about and how you've done it. Obviously, female entrepreneur. If you own and run your own business and have been going for more than 5 years, then you'd be going for that one. The key words there, demonstrable growth. So you need to have shown some kind of trajectory that's going in an upward direction, and that has some, whether it's 15, 20% growth year on year, something that's going to be to talk about for that one. Disruptor Innovator Award. So creative, innovative, or unique approaches to solving problems or product innovation. So this is quite widespread in lots of ways. It's like, what are the problems that your customers have? How are you solving those in an interesting and different way? Not just the standard, this is what we do, this is what the industry does. And it's like, no, we've knocked that on the head. We've turned it on its head. We've done something different. This is the results that we're getting. So if you're that kind of forward thinking, innovative, kind of unique approach to all of what you do as a service, then absolutely go for this. In terms of product innovation, obviously it naturally lends itself to here as well. And then the last one on this grouping is young entrepreneur. So anyone who's 30 and under who's owning their own business. And again, it's demonstrating your current involvement in the successful business venture. So what is it that you as a young entrepreneur are bringing to the table that's making a difference to the business? Is that younger, different way of looking at things? How can you bring that in that's going to make something stand out for the judges? The next grouping of categories, we've got corporate categories. So these are if you are working for, this isn't your business, but you are a high level, or you're kind of at that leadership level in somebody else's business. So transformational leader, 15 years experience. So again, it clearly states, you've got to have 15 plus years of experience in leadership. Evidence of mentoring people, that's key, and examples of community engagement. So that's really important. So there's some key words you'll see as you go through the categories. And what I would suggest is when you're looking at the categories, because once you've done your overview of your 12 months success stories, then that will lend itself to where you sit in terms of category choice. But then when you get into the category criteria like we're doing now, you want to start highlighting those key areas, because that will give you the focus of how you can then construct your response in the main entry. So transformational leader, working leadership roles. So you need to be able to demonstrate what those leadership skills are, and what your experience of that is, and how that has then driven the business forward and what those results have been. So then you need your data. In terms of the mentoring, obviously, they need to understand who you've mentored, what position they've been in, why that came about, how successful that was, and then other examples of other community engagement that you've had. So there's some key words and phrases that if you pull those out separate onto a Word document or whatever you work on, and start building some narrative around how you are responding to that particular criteria, that's how you're going to build your responses in terms of presenting your case forward. There's a new category in here, which I've seen, which is women on boards. So it's for non-executive and trustee roles on boards as well. So this award will provide much needed visibility to women across industries in both private and public sectors. This award will recognise and celebrate women on boards to inspire the next generation of women aspiring to board roles. Really important area of business and underrepresented on board. So it's fantastic to have this as a category to help celebrate and highlight this as a real driving force for people to be thinking about where their position might be on a board in the future. So some joint categories. So whether you're an entrepreneur, set up your own business, or a really, successful career woman, these are the ones for which can go for dual sides. So you've got Inspiring Mentor of the Year, Education Academic Leader, they're relatively self-explanatory, Social Impact of the Year, and Public and Third Sector Leader of the Year. Again, there's key things in here, keywords, track record of mentoring and developing future leaders. So what does that look like? A woman who's creating or delivering digital products, programs, or service for positive social impact. Again, there's some key things there that you can pull out. So it's really important to just kind of look at what those keywords are and then start building some narrative and then come back to it and see how that then fits into the categories and the criteria on the entry form. And then there's 2 special awards at the end, which is Businesswoman of the Year and also Ones to Watch as well. So these are, you know, the sort of the gold star awards at the end for the event, which are absolutely fantastic. So to win one of these is just, you know, super credibility here. Absolutely fantastic. So really, really special awards here. So has anybody got any questions at this point just regarding the categories at all? If anybody got any ideas of or any questions that they want to ask about how their story might relate to something, or if they're a bit unsure. I don't know if anybody doesn't, that's fine. The entry form itself is really straightforward. We have it's online, it's business information, and then there's some key questions that you need to answer. So the first question is leadership, strategic direction, and personal resilience. Overview of your career path to date, current role, key responsibilities, you know, basic stuff about who you are, what you've done, and your greatest business achievement to date. Don't forget to include that. Now you'll notice on the actual online entry form, there isn't a word count limit listed on there. Previously, it's been around 200, 500 words. The recommendation is between 300 and 500 words per answer. Please don't go too much beyond that. In fact, try to keep it within the 500 words. I think that's completely adequate to respond to each of these. Makes it a 1,500 word response, actually a 2,000 word response with the 4th question as well, which is anything else you want to add, which kind of allows you to elaborate on other things, which is great. So, you know, 300 to 500 words is perfectly fine. It's not, again, it's if you apply that single handling technique to just do that first question, get those 500 words nailed, you'll then be able to nail this really, really quickly, you know, and strategically, and with some kind of method to the madness as well. Commercial awareness, please explain why you've entered this category. So again, you've got to relate this section back to the category. So that's where you're going to pull out those keywords and do your response based on that. You know, evidence of the success related to the category and reasons why you should be considered as a finalist for this category. Absolutely. So everything in that commercial awareness is all about the category information. Your third one is slightly different, and I find this often the hardest one in some respects, because we're always talking about us and our business, and when it's you and you are the business, it's really hard to separate yourself from what I do in my business to what I do in outside of my business to help others and to have a better impact on a community level. But this one is very much about how you personally, not your company, are supporting other women specifically and the wider community as a role model. So, you know, at the moment, for example, I'm doing a project with the University of Derby as me mentoring other women who are female founders. I'm also supporting their creative growth program as well, which is great. It isn't being run through Pure Awards. It's being run as me, as an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur. It could be that I'm doing some mentoring work with some schools. You know, I'm working on young enterprise or something like that. Or it could be that I'm just doing some voluntary work and I'm actually having an impact with some other women, like a female group or something like that in the local community. And I'm supporting them. So it's what you're doing that's not to do with your business, not really promoting your business. It's about you promoting yourself as an individual and how you're engaging with other people in the community and other women to support them on their journey as well. So again, it's 300 to 500 words on that. So if you're struggling with that, then just get in touch. You know, it really is, it's, you know, great to kind of be connected with you anyway. from this. But if you've got any questions about any of these specific areas, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you afterwards. And then the last part is anything else you would like to add. So there isn't, I think actually you can upload some supporting material onto this, which is great. But if not, then what you can do is in this section is put your testimonials in there, put your, kind of round it out case studies and things. Again, not too much heavy on the word count, and it's got to be relatable back to the entry category that you're going for. But again, it's another opportunity to perhaps share something a little bit deeper about you, about your business, about what you've achieved, that doesn't lend itself to the other category questions. And then for the entrepreneur categories, there is a specific request that you do annual turnover, proof of financial performance, any references and links you can do, and then a link to Companies House record as well. So that's important, that you need to be aware that if you're going for those entrepreneur grouping, you've got to be able to do that as well, which shouldn't be an issue. So when you're starting, like I said, you're going to be pulling out those criteria points, sort of breaking down that over question, that criteria, and then trying to allocate sufficient word count to each point. So if you've got 2 points in there, which have come out in those criteria points, that's great, because you've got 250 words per point then to respond to that. It allows you to make sure that you're not then just left with 20 words for the last point. So if you plan it out like this, use your subheadings. Also, it helps the judges because they know that you're answering every part correctly and sufficiently. It keeps you on target with what you're supposed to be giving and providing in that entry. And it just helps to make it really clear. And ultimately, you think the judging panel are going to be reading a lot of these entries. The more yours can be clear and stand off the page and not just big blocks of text all the time, the clearer it can be, the easier it can be, the better they're going to respond to it, we hope. Any questions at all about this part of it? Just always want to make sure that we're not going ahead. We are going to be covering some other areas which are important part of this process as well. And I'm not sure, we may have some questions at the end. So some of the rules of the entry, obviously you've got to be available to do the live online judging on the 10th of October. So make sure you've written that down. Awards attendance on the 22nd of November in London. The awards ceremony event all that day and evening is just going to be fantastic. And then also, if the judges feel that actually you should have gone into a different category, if you just agree for them to put you into a different category, and that they think is more appropriate for the entry that you've put together, then, just make sure that you tick that box as well and just allow them to make that move. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes they may just think, actually, they need to go in that category. They're much stronger there. And that's fine for them to do that. So preparing your submission, if you want to do first person, I would recommend it really, because this is about you. But if you are writing it on behalf of somebody else, then obviously you go third person. But you've just got to decide and stick to it all the way through. That's all I'd say. Is it really doesn't matter which one you do. But as this is a very personal, individual award, I would suggest that you do it for yourself as first person. Again, try and begin with a really strong evidence-based statement to capture the attention of the judges, and then use the rest of the word count to explain a little bit more detail about the response there. And explain as fully as you possibly can how and why you meet that criteria point, making sure that you're constantly referring back to that category information. Part of the process of you pulling everything together will be collecting evidence and making sure that that evidence is relatable to the key points that you're making. So whether it's financial figures, whether it's client retention figures, whether it's to do with, kind of where we were before and after, visuals and things like that, perhaps you might be able to input into the download of the supporting evidence. But the key thing is making sure that you're backing. If you're making a claim and saying that we had incredible turnover over the last 12 months, that's great. What was that? Where did you start beforehand, and where are you now? So is it a percentage growth that you want to put there? That's fine if you don't want to put your financial numbers in there, or you can put your financial numbers in there and just going to go over this amount if you wish, or you can do both, but it's about making sure that everything that you say, you've got some kind of evidence or data to back it up, and to present your case as the best foot forward in every single way. And you've only got 2,000 words for this full application, and it is sectioned out into 4 sections. So it's difficult in some respects because you can't just give that full story in the flow that you would like to. You have to be answering those questions, but within those questions, try to be as full and as clear as possible. And in terms of word count, go within 10%. Is great if you can. Ideally you wouldn't want to go any lower or than 300 words. You don't want to go over 500 words, but sitting at kind of 490, 475, something like that would be a good target I would suggest to go for. And the ways in which, if you find you're doing more words than you've got allocation of word count for, then what you can do is start using bullet points to say how you are meeting that criteria point in this way, and then you can be really succinct and really focused on the words and the way in which you're using that language as well. So some ways that you can use evidence, obviously, your social platforms, your number of followers, how that's grown, how that's developed, shows the impact of your brand, shows the impact of your marketing, everything that you're doing. Again, it's a tracking from this point to this point. That's what we want to know. Where were you 12 months ago? Where are you now? Why? Okay, what's that resulted in? What's the impact of that? You can use testimonials. You can, explain what your lead magnets are, what your customer attraction retention figures are, and how you do that. What makes you different? Again, your percentages, you put graphs, that kind of stuff. It's all the evidencing. Allows you to substantiate your value, really, and to back everything up. And it also demonstrates that you really do have knowledge and understanding of what your business is doing, your turnover, your financial side of things, as well as the other metrics in the business as well. Editing and proofing, do make sure that you spend some time and allocate some time. Like I said, if we've changed the date to the 7th of September instead of the 6th of September to instead of the 13th, that's great. Editing and proofing time is really valuable. So, try not to, you're not allowed to use that many words. So you'll not be getting into a flow of doing too many random sentences with too many adjectives in that aren't necessary. You're going to have to start being quite limited and being a bit ruthless when you go through it, to just get maybe that one word down. So it's not 501 words and it's down to 500. You might have to rework an entire sentence just to do that. It's really frustrating, but it takes time. And so I'd say don't ever underestimate how much time it takes to reread it, reproof it, and rework it, because otherwise you'll come a bit of a cropper. So we want to make sure that obviously your spelling, your grammar, your punctuation is correct, and we don't want to be in a position where we have to eat grandpa. Let's just eat with grandpa instead. It's much better. So let's just try and have that extra bit of time to go through this, and then also prepare some supporting materials and things as well that might be needed. So this is the final slide. You'll be happy to hear. I do have some 48-hour only offers. If anybody would like any assistance or help with the process of going through this, even if it's just a phone call, to run through some ideas or run through some questions that you might have about the award itself. But if you want to go ahead and look at our check and send service, that's our proofreading service, you can do that. We have an entry portal online. which you can access. But if you'd like to save yourself £75, you can get that at a cheaper rate. We also do strategic award planners as well. So if you're looking at this, but you're also thinking, oh, there could be some other awards in the future, don't know which ones to enter, don't know where to go with that, then you might be able to, look at that as well as an offer. But also, if you wanted some assistance with writing your award entry and perhaps some future ones as well, then there's an offer there as well. Fully transparent about our costs and things. I'm not one to say it's this much and then say, or I don't know how much it is, and then give you a hugely different price. It is what it is for today, for these next 48 hours, sorry. So up until the 5th of July. But yeah, that's the kind of the finish of it. So 45 minutes, bang on. So back over to you, really. If we've got any questions at all, or any comments or anything, or want to go over anything in particular, we're here for the next kind of 5-10 minutes, I think. So.
Yes, thank you so much, Lucinda, for that. That was really insightful. It's going to help me one day when I'm writing a few awards entries. At least I've attempted in the past, and I think this has really been absolutely fantastic. To all those who've just joined in, Lucinda has just been sharing some really fantastic tips on how to write an brilliant award entry. So I guess for those who've just tuned in like right at the end, could you just give us some, I guess, key elements that make a good awards entry stand out, Lucinda?
Yes, so I would say just be really clear in your messaging, and make sure that you've outlined what the key words are in the criteria, that you've taken those out of there, and you've started to make some key responses to those particular keywords. And then you can frame that really clearly in the response so that the judges know exactly what you're responding to, that you've responded to everything in those criteria. Because ultimately, when the judges are faced with those entries and one's done a great job, but they've missed off one of the points, and the other one's done a great job, but they've perhaps gone over word count, these are the things that they're going to have to deal with in terms of, have they stuck to the rules? Have they answered everything properly? Have they done what they should have done? And that might mark you down. So you need to be able to make sure that you're allocating the right word count to each criteria point. So however many criteria points are in the question, then divide the word count, which is 300 to 500 words, by that number of criteria points, and then you've got allocated word count for each section. So you're not going to leave yourself short at the end. So that's one tip that I would say. And you can use bullet points as well to make sure it's really concise, because often when you start writing, you'll write way more than you need. So it's then about just filtering it down. And if the best way to present that, again, it's making it nice and clear, is by using bullet points as well, because that really helps to fine tune it into a succinct way.
That's really good. Welcome, Masood. If you've got a question, please do share so that Lucinda can answer your question. I've got another one. How can nominees use storytelling to enhance their awards entries, but also to obviously keep it short and sweet?
Yeah, so storytelling's really, that's where you can get you across, and really passionate as well. The judges want to be engaged by what you're writing, and they don't want it to just be AI generated content. Yes, you can use AI, but make sure you really personalize it and take all the Z's out that are supposed to be S's as well. Little tip. Otherwise, it's quite obvious. But yeah, definitely, make sure that story makes sense, that you're not going off tangent against the criteria. But yeah, that's where I suppose that fourth question will come in. Anything else you want to add? That's where you can do a little bit more storytelling in a freer zone, I suppose, really, without it being so specific to a particular question that's being responded to. But yeah, storytelling allows you to just be, give you and your passion about what your business is and what you're doing, and where you've come from.
I think a lot of organizations as well tend to have people who write awards for them, or they go externally. I guess from your experience, like, how important is it to provide enough information to the person who's going to write the awards bid? And what sort of information, for example, if you're writing an awards bid, what sort of information would you be looking for from a particular person depending on the category?
So we'd always, as much as possible. So it's really important to kind of get under the skin of who they are as a person. What is it that made them start the business? Where is it going? What the mission, values, culture, what that 5-year vision is looking like, what what that growth has been like in the business. It's just about getting everything. And once you've got everything as a writer, then you can start picking out the bits that are really relevant for the actual award. So actually, when we're doing like the interviews with our clients to get that information, we'd go through loads of questions, and some of them wouldn't be relevant at that point for that entry, but they will be relevant at some point. And it just helps to give that real overview of who that person is. So so when you're kind of using, if you are going to be going and getting an external person to help you, then just be really open with the amount of information you're going to give them, because the more is so much better. It will help them so much more build that person, because they're going to write as if they're you. Like we do, like we write in first person as if I'm the person. But I do all my research and things and try to get under the skin, and meet them a few times in person and do online interviews and really sort of engage with who they are and what they're all about. And I think from a writer's perspective, when you're doing it externally and outsourced like that, it's important to get as much of that information as possible. And if you're writing it for yourself, it's hard. It's not easy. I much prefer writing other people's awards than I do my own. The one I did last year was really hard. So, I had to put these tips and things into play to make some sense of how to approach it and how to start it. Because it's difficult to say. We're very British, aren't we? We don't
Yes.
say, we're the best and why we're the best. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. So you have to, when you're entering awards, and you have to be bold and a bit brazen and have that confidence to just go, yeah, we are who we are, and we want to share that. So
It's funny, I was going to touch on, sometimes with awards entries, of course, you want to sell yourself. But there's that element of being authentic and, just getting your authentic self across while still,
yeah.
pitching. So why is authenticity important, and how can it be effectively conveyed in an entry without feeling like you're overselling yourself as well?
I think, it's hard, because I think the authenticity side of things will come through with the language that you use, the way in which if it's not your language, it won't sit right for you, and you won't feel comfortable about doing it. So if somebody else is writing it for you and they're using language that, like, I just would never say that. You think, I can't have that in there. So that's ways in which you can make sure that you're monitoring that side of things. For yourself, I would say, try to avoid things like colloquialisms and too much sort of conversational language. It has to be professional still. It's a marketing exercise. It's a business exercise that you're doing. So you have to approach it in that way. So you wouldn't expect you to sort of have that kind of that sort of conversational language in there so much. And don't use acronyms too much, or at least explain them first, and and all that kind of thing. Just be professional in the way that you're putting it together, because you're also putting your business in front of some amazing people to be looked at by the judging panel. These are really incredible people who are on your judging panel. You don't want them to go, well, I don't know why she's written that. That doesn't sound very professional. I'm sure it doesn't really, but you want it to come across in the right way. So it is important. But I think, the language that you use will create that authenticity in lots of ways.
And I think obviously the one of the key things, particularly when you've written an awards entry, is getting feedback,
Yeah.
or at least, like you said, making sure that people have proofread it, and so forth. So
Mm.
why should nominees seek feedback just to ensure, the best possible awards entry? Because most people are just going to submit it because they're thinking that they've got everything. But why
Yeah,
is it
yeah. I
important?
mean, a lot of awards don't do feedback. They don't give you feedback, which is really frustrating. When you do get it, it's so valuable because then you go, oh, okay, I get it. I didn't, you can kind of see that that was the reason why you fell down. And you go, oh, right, okay, well, we didn't do that. We'll make sure we put that in next time. And use it as a learning tool rather than a, kind of teacher's red pen sort of thing. Use that to help construct and refine what you're messaging in and everything that you've put in. I think it's really useful to have feedback, but so many awards don't give it, and then you just never know what you've done well and what you haven't done well. So you can only learn if you've got the feedback, and you can only improve if you know what to improve on. And sometimes it's just you might look at an award entry that you wrote 2 years ago and think, oh, goodness me, I don't know how that won. I never would have written that now, because your
Yeah.
skills in writing awards, the more you do, the more skilled you become in doing that and knowing kind of what the judges need to see and how they want to see it. It's never a final guarantee that you're going to win by implementing all of the steps that I've come through today, but we have got a good track record. We do get our people into the finals. We do get the winners. So it happens, and it's a numbers game as well. The more you enter, the more likely you are to then be up on that stage collecting that and that trophy at the end. So it's just keeping going.
Oh, thank you so much for that. We're taking any last questions if anybody has. I feel like I've hogged the stage, but hopefully, what Lucinda has shared today in her webinar has been insightful and is going to help you with your awards entries. Lucinda, do you have any final thoughts? And also, how can people connect with you?
Yes, I've realised I've not put my connect with me slide on at the end. That was very foolish of me. So I'm on LinkedIn. Just search me up for Lucinda White. Pure Awards is the page. Been more than happy and love to connect with everybody who was wanting to enter. And if you've got any questions, just ping them over if you need to have a quick chat or whatever. I think final things is just go for it. You've got a good couple of months where you've still got time to do this. Map it out. It's not lastminute.com right now. So you can map it out and you can take it bit by bit so that it's not feeling like such a huge task on your shoulders. It's there to celebrate you. It's there as an opportunity for you to share your success story. So just have a go, because honestly, once you've done one, you've got that blueprint then, and you can start building and refining that, and it will allow you to just put down on paper some of the things that you didn't realize you were being so successful in your business. And that for me is possibly one of the most valuable parts of it. The win is great, but it's the process of actually doing the award that actually generates so much value as well. So from that side of things, I would say, yeah, absolutely have a go, and good luck to everybody who does enter.
Really brilliant. And I think one of the things that I picked up from one of your slides was about positive actions, productivity and progress. So this is an opportunity for everybody after this to go away and get your awards entries in. If you've not had a chance to submit your nomination with this year's Novi Awards, what are you waiting for? Nominations are open. And with the tips you've received from Lucinda today, this should hopefully empower you to write an award-winning entry. And for more information and to submit your nomination, visit www.wearenovi.com. And if you'd like to find out a little bit more about Lucinda's services and what she offers, perhaps you want a little bit of help to write your award-winning entry, don't forget to visit www.pureawards.co.uk. Just a little reminder about the key dates. Entries will close on the 13th of September, but don't leave it until then. That'll be a bit too late. The announcement of finalists will be on the 27th of September, and that will lead us through to the live judging day on the 10th of October. And hopefully we'll see many of you at the awards ceremony and leadership summit on the 22nd of November in London. The Novi team looks forward to receiving your nominations. And Lucinda, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you back on here again next year with more people applying for nominations. But until then, to everyone who's tuned in, stay well, stay safe, and be blessed.